Good evening everyone. Welcome to Tech Tutorials 2K21. So today our topic is structures and unions in C programming language. So I'll start with the definition of structure. Then we'll see how to declare and initialize the structures and how we can access the data members of structures, like how we are going to create a structure variables, like we are going to create a single variable, multiple and array of variables, and we'll see how to initialize the structure variables. Then we are going to discuss about reading and writing of a structure variables. Like simply we are going to access the structure variables, and then we'll see array within structures, nesting of structures, copy and comparing of structures variables, and pointers concept used along with the structures concept. And we can see structure as an arguments to a function, and the union, the differences between structure and union, and between concepts. So these are the topics today we are going to discuss. So I'll start with the definition of a structure. So simply we can say structure is a user defined data type, which is a collection of heterogeneous data items. Like we can group a different data items under a single name. So then we can say that is a structure in C programming language. So we have a keyword struct, which is used to create structures in C programming language. So this is a syntax for creating a structure in C programming. Simply we can use struct keyword, and tag name will specify the name of the structure, and here the list of data members, like the body of the structure will consisting, and each and every data member is defined simply as like a variable. Like we can specify the data type and we can specify the data member 1. We can have n number of data members in a structure. So for example, so here is an example for a structure. So here my structure name is employee, and here I am using struct keyword for creating a structure employee. And this employee structure is having 3 data members: employee ID, name of the employee, and department of the employee. And employee ID is of type integer, and name and department is of type strings. So because of that I am using character arrays here. So we'll see how to calculate the size of a structure. So whenever we create a structure, and after we creating a variable to a structure, the compiler is going to reserve a memory for structure. So here simple an example which I created for a structure to an employee, which having an employee ID of type integer, name of type string, which is having maximum of 20 characters, and department is of type string, which is having maximum of 25 characters. When I am creating a variable e1 to a structure employee, so now my compiler is going to reserve a memory like this. So for integer, for 32-bit processor, I need 2 bytes of memory for keeping employee ID, and 20 bytes of memory for name, and 25 bytes of memory for department. So for calculating the total size required for this structure is nothing but the summing of the sizes of all the data members. Like here I have one integer and 2 strings of a capacity 20 and 25 bytes. So totally 20 plus 25 plus 2, I have 27 bytes for this structure employee. So move on, the creation of a structure variables. As a structure is a group of heterogeneous data items. So when it is a group, I cannot access individual data members of a structure as like a variable. So I can create a structure variable which is used to access my data members of a structures. So in C programming language, the structure variables are created in two ways. The first way, we can create a structure variable along with the structure definition. Means at the time of the structure is created, itself we are going to create a variable. And a second way, we can create a structure variable outside of the structure definition, like in a main function, we are going to take the first statement as a structure variable creation. So this is the first way how we are going to create a structure variable. Here my structure employee is having three data members and E1 is my structure variable which I created for my structure employee. So now I want to access employee ID, name of the employee and department of employee by using the structure variable E1. So I'll show you a little bit later how you're going to access these data members using the structure variable E1. So this is a second way of creating a structure variable that is outside of the structure definition. In main function, we want to create a structure variable. Simply we can use struct and structure name along with we are creating the variables. So here I am creating a single variable so that my structure is capability to store one record. When I want to store more records using my structure, I can create more variables. So I will show you that a little bit later. So I will demonstrate this with a simple program in my IDE. So this is my IDE. So in this I will show you how to create a structure and how to create a structure variable outside of the structure definition, then how to access, that is how to read and write the data members of a structure. So these are two my header files, hash include stdio.h and conio.h, and this is my structure name student, and struct is a keyword, and here my structure name is student which is having four data members, name of the student, gender, roll number and fees. And my name is of type string, gender is also of type string, so that I am using my character array to define the name and gender of the student. And roll number is of type integer, so I can use int keyword. And fees of type floating point, so I can use a keyword float. So here remember always the structure definition closed with semicolon. Means after defining your structure, you must give a semicolon. So that is a termination of structure definition. So this is a way how you are going to create a variable outside of the structure. So you can create a structure variable along with structure, that is also right, or else you can create a structure variable outside of the structure, that is in your main function as a first statement. So whenever we want to access the data members of a structure along with a structure variable, we can use a dot operator. So now the data members of a structure can access by using the structure variable with a dot operator along with the data member name. Suppose if I want to access the roll number of the student, I can access s dot roll. Here S is my structure variable and roll is my data member. So I can access each and every data member of my structure along with my structure variable with a dot operator. So here I am going to read my structure data members for one record. So for that, here I am using my printf and scanf statements, and I am asking the user enter the name of the student, and because this is of a string, I cannot use an ampersand symbol. So this is my format specifier for accessing the string. In the same way, I am going to access the gender of the student, roll number and fees. And after reading my data members of a structure student, then I'm going to display by simply using the printf statements. So whenever we want to display the information, we have to use again with the structure variable. So here is a printf statements which is going to print the name of the student, gender, roll number and fees of the student. So I just compile and run this program. So now it will ask me enter the name of the student. So I'll provide the name of the student is Devi, gender is female and roll number is 25 and fees I'll provided as 25,000. So now you can see the student information, name is Devi, gender is female and roll number is 25 and fees is 25,000. So this is a simple program which illustrates how to create a structure and how to create a structure variable outside of the structure and how we are performing reading and writing of a structure variable. So move on to next topic. So whenever I want to take more than one record in my structure, I'm going to create more than one variable in my C programming language. So whenever I want to take 3 records, so here I need to extend my variable list. So instead of creating a single variable, I can create 3 variables like E1, E2, E3. So I will show you how you are going to create a multiple variables for a structure and how you are going to extend the program. So this is a program which will illustrate how you are going to take a multiple records by structure. So I will show you how we are going to create a structure variables along with the structure definition. So here I provided S1, S2 and S3. So this is creating a structure variable along with structure definition. So you know that as a keyword which is going to create a structure student, and here I have 4 data members as like a previous example, and here the difference between the previous and this one is in previous I have only one variable S1, here I have 3 variables S1, S2 and S3. By using these 3 variables I can access 3 records, so I can store 3 students information. So my first structure variable is S and the second structure variable is S1 and third structure variable is S2. So now you can see I just repeated the statements 3 times. The first, this printf and scanf statements is for the first student and these 4 students for the second student and next 4 students for the third student. And very similar, like I am going to access the data member of my structure, I simply use my structure variable along with dot operator, and which data member I am going to access I can give that data member name. So after I am reading 3 records I need to display that 3 students information, so that this is a way like name and name of the second student, name of the third student. So like this, if I want to separate it, simply I can give like a printf statement. So here I am simply provided a printf statement, the second student information. And after that, before I am going to print the third student information, I can give a printf statement like the third student information. So semicolon. So I need to provide \n so that it will be displayed in the next line. Otherwise, it will be concatenated with the previous information. So the data is not at all clear. So I just compile and run this program. So now it will ask me enter the name of the student. I'll provide Devi and the gender is female and roll number is 25 and fees details are provided as 25,000. And again it will ask me enter the name of the student. This is for the second student. I'll provide Gauri and then gender is female, roll number is 30 and then fee detail are provided as the same. And again it will ask me for the third student. So I'll provide name of the student is Hamant and the gender is male and roll number is 28 and the fee is 35,000. So I just enter. So now you can see student information, name is Devi, gender is female and roll number 25 and fees is this one. And the second student information is Gauri, name is Gauri and gender is female and roll number and name. As like third student information, name, gender, roll number and fees. So this is a way how you are going to create a multiple um variables to a structure for accessing more than one record. So now the concept is how to create array of structure variables. So why we need array of structure variables? Suppose see here, if I want to take only one record, I need to create one variable is enough. If I want to take three records, I need to create three variables. So simply I can create and I am trying to access it. So whenever the number of variables is going to be increased, it is difficult to write a coding. Like you can observe in a previous example itself. For one record, it will take a few code. Whereas for three records, I can repeat the same code again for 3 times. So in order to reduce that, we have to create array of structure variables instead of creating a multiple variables separately. Whenever we have a more variables to create, then there exists a concept of creating an array of structure variables. And here is a way how we are going to create array of structure variables. So here my structure is employee and I am created 10 variables. So that I am given E of 10. So E is my array. It will show that I have 10 records by this structure variables. So I'll demonstrate this with a simple program for creating array of structures. Yes. So this is a simple program for creating array of structures. So now see, this is my structure student having the same data members and in main function here I am creating array of structure variables and here I have 5 structure variables. So here in my for loop, because we know whenever we are accessing with arrays, we want to use a for loop. So here I am given I0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Now it is ready to access 5 records. So enter the name of student. So now if I am given like this, enter the name of so I don't repeat for these things. So in my for loop, I am trying to access 5 records by simply I am given a statements printf and scanf in my loop itself. And whatever the records I read, I'm trying to display the same records by using the for loop again. So even I'm created 5 variables, but I'm not interested to take 5 variables. I can reduce my iterations here. Suppose if I have a 5 records, but I'm not interested to take 5 records, I want to take only 3, so I can make it as 3, so that it will run for 3 times index 0, 1 and 2. So now I just run this. I'll change in this loop also, because after I'm reading 3 records, I'm going to display the 3 records itself. So I just compile and run this. Now it is asked me the name of the student. I'll provide as Gauri, and gender is female, and the roll number is 25, and fee is 35,000. And again it will ask me, so I'll provide Uday, male, and roll number is 85, and fee details are 52,000. And the third student name is Ashwin, gender male, roll number 63, and fee provided as 25,000. So now you can see student information is displayed. So I read 3 records, and I'm going to display the 3 records here itself. So this is a way how you are going to create array of structured variables. So you can create any number of structured variables, and here you can see the code is as simple as compared to previous program. See, here I have 3 variables. In previous example, I'm going to return the same printf and scanf statements for 3 times. Here simply I'm using for loop. I can put all these printf and scanf statements only one time in my for loop. So for printing all this information also, in previous example, I returned the same printf statements 3 times in my program. Whereas in this program, I'm written only one time, and I put those statements in my for loop. So it reduces the length of the code also. So this is a way how you are going to create array of structure variables. And then the next concept is array within structure. So array within structure means we can define a structures within a structure definition. Like we can define an arrays within a structure definition. So here employee is my structure. Within that structure, I am provided 2 strings of type characters. So one is name and a department. So this is the array, right? This is the array within a structure. So within a structure definition, we can provide the arrays. That is a concept of array within structure. And I already show you how we are going to reading and writing a structured data members. So we can perform a reading simply by scanf statement, and we performing the writing simply by printf statement. And the format and everything is similar for structure variables also. And here the only difference is we have to access the data members of a structure along with structure variable with a dot operator, and all the remaining is similar. And the next thing is nesting of structures. So in C programming language, it is possible to define one structure within another structure. So that concept is said to be nesting of structures. So here is an example which will show you the nesting of the structures. Here you can see the person is a structure which consisting the data members name, age, gender. Whereas the address is another structure which is defined inside of the structure person. So now this address is consisting of a multiple parts like apartment, street number, city, state and zip code. So now this is a variable which I created for my internal structure, whereas this is a variable which I am created for my outer structure. So as like a structure concepts, so in nesting of structure also, if we want to access the data members of outside structure, we can use the structure variable of outside structure. Whenever we want to access the inside data members of a structure, we can use both structure variables like outside structure variables along with inside structure variable, and from that you are going to access the data members of inside structure. So I'll demonstrate with a simple program so that you can understand in a better way. Yes, here it is. This is an example for nesting of structures. So person is my outer structure which consisting name, age, gender, and this is a temporary variable because I am using gender as a character, it's not an array. So for refreshing the buffer I am using this temporary variable. And then the structure which is created inside of my person structure. So now it makes a nesting of structure concept. And this address structure consisting the data members like apartment, street, city, state and zip code. And this is a variable which I am created for my address, and this is a variable which I am created for my person. So whenever I want to access the data members of a structure person, I can need only the outside of a structure variable. So simply I can use p of I dot name, p of I dot age, p of I dot gender, it is enough. Whereas for inside of structure, I can use the combination of both. With p and a I can use. I will show you here. See, I want to access name, simply I can use p of I. Whereas I want to access city which is available inside of my address, I can use two variables p of I and a of I. So city, state and zip code. And after I am reading, I just going to display in a same way. See, we can observe that the outside of things we can access simply by outside variable, whereas inside things can access with both the inside and outside variables of a structures. So I'll execute this program. So now it will ask me enter the name of person 1. So I'll provide the name is Kiran and age of a person is 19 or 18 something, and gender of the person is male, and the city of a person is Vishakhapatnam, and state is AP, and zip code is 530028. And again it will ask me the details for person 2. So the person 2 name is Ashwin, and the person 2 age is 20, and gender is male, and city is Vishakhapatnam, state is Andhra Pradesh, zip code is something like this. So now it is going to display person 1 details and person 2 details. So here I am given my loop for 2 times. You can observe, see my index starts from 1 and I run up to 3. So even though I am created 5 structure variables, but I am not interested to take 5. So I am interested to only take 2 persons information, so that I will make my for loop like this. Right? So this is how you are going to make a structures as nested. And the next concept is pointers with a structures concept. So we can use a pointers concept along with structures. So we know already like pointer is nothing but a special variable which can hold the address of an ordinary variable. So here as like an ordinary variables, for structures we are creating a structure variables. So now we are creating a structure pointer variable which can hold the address of the structure variable. So now I'll demonstrate this with a simple example. So I can create a structure student which is having serial number and name of the student and marks. And in my main function, I'm created two variables. One is of an ordinary structure variable and second one is a pointer variable to my structure student. So for that I'm using sn star st. So now I want to access this serial number, name and marks. So simply I'm using here my printf and scanf statements. So simply I'm using s dot serial number, s dot s name and s dot marks is going to take input from the keyboard, and later I'm assigning this structure variable to my structure pointer variable. From that pointer variable I'm going to display my data members values. So whenever we are using a pointers concept, we can use arrow instead of a dot operator and all the remaining is same. So when you use a normal structure variable, we can access the data members of a structure along with a dot operator. Whereas a structure pointer variable, we can use arrow symbol for accessing the data members and all the remaining is same. So only the difference is we are going to assign a structure variable to structure pointer variable. So I'll demonstrate with an example. So this is an example for structure along with pointer. So now you can see, so student is my structure name. It's having three data members like serial number, name of the student and marks. And in main function I'm created one structure variable and one structure pointer variable. So the pointer variable is going to take an address of a structure variable. Here I read my data members of a structure, and here I am going to display the data members of my structure variable along with my pointer variable. So for that, instead of I am using dot operator, I can use an arrow operator. So I just execute this program. Now see, it will ask me the serial number and name of the student and marks of the student. So now you can see details of the student are serial number is 1, name is Devi and marks are 56. So here I am given percentile F. So the floating point will give you after decimal place 6 precision values. So if you want to reduce that, simply you can give here how many digits you want after the decimal place. So I can provide here 0.2. So which will provide after my decimal place, it will give you only 2 places. So the serial number is 1 and the name is Gauri and the marks are 90. So now you can see the difference. Oh. So I'll provided a space. There is no space. So I just run this. Serial number 1, name, marks. Now you can see. So this is how we are going to use a pointers concept along with structures. So now we'll see. structure as an arguments to function. So in previous classes we already discussed about pointers and functions. So now in this we are going to discuss how the structures concept is used along with the function concept. So whenever we want to use the structure concept in functions, so we can pass the structure as an arguments to a function. So whenever we want to pass structure as an arguments to a function, simply we are going to pass the structure variable as an arguments to function. So here is a simple program. I am created a structure student which is having a data members like ID, name and a percentage, and I am using one function name func, and this function is going to take my structure variable and whatever the data I am reading, and that I am going to display with my function. So I just execute this program. So this is so we all know the concept of functions. So even I will explain after I'm copying this code. So here I prefer copy and paste because when I'm typing all these things it will take more time. So here it is, my structure student is having ID, name and percentage, and this is my function declaration. So my function name is func. So it doesn't return anything to my main function, and here I'm passing my structure variable. So this is a creation of structure variable. So here I created my variable name as record to my structure student, and then so here I'm going to read the details of my student, that is ID, name and percentage, and after that I am calling my function record. So when I am calling this function, my controller will jump to the function definition. In this definition I am going to display ID of the student, name and percentage of the student. So simply I am written printf statements here. So this is a way how we are going to pass a structure as an arguments to function. So I just execute this. So enter all details it will ask me. So whatever the details I have like ID, name and percentage. So I need to provide ID as 12 and name as Gauri and percentage as 56. So now you can see ID 12 and name is Gauri and percentage is 56, and you can see and this value is returned from your function. So this is a way how you are going to use a functions concept along with structures. So the next topic is union. So union is also similar to a structure. As a definition wise, we can say union is a user defined data type and which is going to collect a heterogeneous data items. So here instead of using a struct keyword, we can use a union keyword, and tag name will specifies the union name, and it also consisting the n number of data members. So as like a structure, we can create a variable for union also, and we can create a multiple variables, and we can create a array of variables, and whatever the concept we discussed as on now with structures, we can do everything with unions also. The differences between the structure and union is the reserving of memory for structure and union. So I will show you. So in previous I already explained you, when I am created a structure name employee which is having an employee ID, name and department. So I will show that how much memory is required for this structure. So the structure is required 20 plus 25 plus 2, totally 47 bytes, whereas the union it requires only 25 bytes. So what union will do is, So it will take the maximum data member. So sorry, this will show you a wrong information, and this is 25 bytes, not 20 bytes, because as of these three data members, this is the maximum data member size. So what the union will do is, so union will take the max size of the data member as the size of the union. This is the difference between structure and union, and all the remaining is same. So then the same concept is going to be implemented with structure and union. In which place we are going to use which concept is an important task. So here you can observe that when you use a structures concept to create a structure, so it will give an individual memory for each and every data member. Whereas in unions, it reserved only a single memory location, and it will uh, take every information in a same location. So in unions, the data is going to be overlapped. So when I am entering the first data, it is available for me. When I am entering the second data, and the first data is going to be overlapped, because the same memory location I am going to store every information. So when we have memory is not a consideration, we want to take each and every record in a clear manner, we are going to use the concept of structures. Whereas we have taken a memory as consideration and we want to take only the current information, then we can use the concept of union. So, and all the remaining things are similar for structure and union. So I will show you with an example, so which is going to be demonstrated the differences between the structure and union. So for making a differentiation, so I am created the same structure and union in my program, and after this I'm going to tell you how you are making copying and comparing of structure variables. So I left it the topic in middle, so I'll explain that topic also. So now you can see this is my structure employee, which is having name, age and salary. And now you can see this is my union employee 1, because I want to differentiate, because employee is already existed, so that I am created one more name with employee 1, and you can identify that inside the data members is similar. So here for this structure it will take 50 plus 2 plus 4, totally 56 bytes of memory, whereas for union it will take the upper data member, that is 50 bytes it's required. So the memory is saved, and after that I am created E is a variable for my structure employee and E1 is a variable for my union employee 1. So I am going to take an information from a structure. In a similar way I am going to take information to my union. At the time of displaying the details of my structure, you can find out every information is very clear and it is going to be displayed as an output. Whereas a structure, you can find out the garbage values for the information, and we are getting the accurate information for the last data member. So I will demonstrate that, because you already know how you are going to read and write, how to take an input from the keyboard and how you are going to display data. So I don't waste time. So I just compile and run this program. So now it will ask me enter details of a structure. So for structure I need to enter employee name, age and salary. So here I am provided employee name is Devi and age is 36 and the salary is 50,000. And now enter details for union, and here also I provided the, okay, I can make changes of other details like Gaudi, and then and take age is 34 and then the salary is 63,000 or something. So now you can see when I'm going to display this information, it will give me the each and every data in my structure. Whereas for a union, it will give me only the current data. It doesn't show you like name and age. So if I'm trying to display those things also, it will give me a garbage values. So I will show you that also. So for printed statement, here, yeah, okay. So here I'm going to provide for age and so I will show you so that you can understand. So here I'm going to take name and age. I don't have a salary information here, that is going to be printed in a next statement. And even is my structure variable, I mean union variable name, so that I'm given even here. I just close this and I'll provide it semicolon. So now I just execute the program. So now you can see it will ask me the details for a structure. I'll provided the details. And now for union, I provided the name is Gauri and age is 25 and salary is 63,000 or something. So now you can see you're finding the garbage value for name and age. Only we are getting an accurate information for the last data member, that is of a salary. So that is the difference between structure and union. I hope you all can understand. So now I'll give you how you are going to make a copy and comparison of structure variables. As like a normal variables, we can make a copying and comparison operations on a structure variables. So I will show you with a simple example how you are going to copy and compare the structure variables. I hope it is there, or else I can take from PPT itself. Copying and comparing structure variables. Yes, here itself. So I'll demonstrate with a simple program how we are going to copy and comparing the structure variables. And here I need to copy the rest of things also. And just a little bit later I will explain these things. So now you can see here is my structure student, and roll number, name and marks are the data members of my structure. And here you can observe that this is a variable x which I am going to use here itself for making comparison. And here this is a way how you are going to initialize a structure variables at compile time. So I can provide the names here Hemant and name here as Shravanti. So this is a way how you are going to initialize your structure variables at the compile time. Means at the time of programming itself we are going to assign. So now I'm created one more structure variable. Here I'm not assigning any values because I want to copy. See, this is simply a copying operation. So I'm going to copy the content of structure 2, that is student 2, the variable, into student 3. So whatever the content in my structure variable 2, that is roll number 2 and Shravanti and 167 is going to be copied into my third structure variable. So after copying, my second variable and third variable is having the both content. So that I am going to compare here. So I am comparing the roll number of student 3 and student 2 and the marks of student 3 and the student 2, because I just make a copying operation before this comparison. So definitely my student 2 and 3 is having the same records. So now I am using conditional operator here. So in between I am using logical AND operation. If both conditions true, then only it will give my answer as true. Otherwise, it will return false. So if my answer is true, then I'm going to print my student 2 and 3 is having the same information. And I'm going to print my S3 record values also, like roll number, name and marks. Otherwise, else it is going to be print simply my student 3 and 2 is having the different records. So I just compile and run this program. Okay. If I am doing copy and paste from slide itself, it makes some problems. Yes. Just second, I just because of the font issues, such type of errors will comes. Yes, here is this program, so I just copy from here so that we don't have such issues, because that is a problem we are getting. So when you are copying from things, I'm going to create a new project. Okay, console and C project and project 2. Yes, yes, yes. So I replaced here. So this is an extra bracket. I just removing this. So now you can see the student 2 and 3 are having the same, and now you're finding 2 Bobby and okay. So I didn't change the content here, right? So the student record 2 is having 2 Bobby and 167 is there. So now I'm going to copy the same thing into the third record. So when I'm trying to display the record 3, it is going to display the same thing which is available in your record 2 itself. So this is how we are going to copy and compare the structure variables in C programming language. So in structures we have the topic like bit fields. It is a last topic in structures. So bit fields which allows us in C programming language, which specifies the size of means we can specify the size in bit level. So like a bits of a structure and union members. The idea is to use a memory efficiently when we know that the value of a field or a group of fields will never exceed a limit or is within a small range. Suppose C, for example, we'll go with some real-time examples. Suppose if I want to display some joining date. So now the date will consist in 3 fields like day, month and year. So we know that the days, it will be a calendar, it's maximum of 31 days. Whereas months, it will be maximum of 12 months. For a 64-bit processor, when I am using integer to declare my data member day, it will take 4 bytes of memory. So totally 4 into 8, 32 bits are reserved for keeping the day information, and 32 bits are reserved for keeping month information, and for year also it will take another 32 bits of information. So totally it required 12 bytes for the 64-bit processor. So I know that the maximum day of a month is 31, and for keeping this value 31 I need only 5 bits. So because we know 2 power 5 is 32, so from that I can use a binary representation. 5 bits is more than enough to keep my value 31. right? For month I have the value maximum is 12. So now 2 power 4, so which is capability to store maximum of 0 to 15. So 12 is less than 15, so I require 4 bits to keep an information of month. So instead of I'm taking that many bytes to store this date and month of my joining date, whatever it will be. So I can use this bit field concept. So remember, the bit field concept is used along with the data members of structures and union whenever we know the exactly the range. Then only we can use. Otherwise, we cannot use the bit fields concept with the data members. So here we can see this is a way how we are going to assign the size for a data member in bits. So I already said the maximum for a month I have 31 days, and 31 can be represented maximum with 5 digits. So 5 binary digits. So I can give the size. I required only 5 bits instead of 4 bytes. So for month I am provided 4 bits instead of 4 bytes. So for year, so it will be of whatever the year we can mention. We cannot say like we have only 4 bits or 10 bits is required to keep years information. So for that, I didn't make it as a bit field. So I can take it as a normal variable of type integer. So in my main function, I'm going to print the size of this structure date. Here my structure name is date, so I'm going to print, and here I'm provided my date with 3 fields like different values. So I will show you how you are going to execute in my program. So first I'll copy into WordPad and I'll make the changes, and later I'm going to copy in my editor itself. So here you can find so here I'm provided my date of birth 13 11 and the year is 1985. Okay, so the remaining everything is same. So whenever we come up with a structures concept, we can means here I provided my data at compile time, so need not to take an information by the keyboard itself. So whatever the data I entered, I just display that information by using this structure variable dt. So dt is a structure variable which I created here. You can observe. So by using dt dot d, it is going to display the date, and dt dot m is going to display the month, and dt dot y is going to display the year. So I just copy and paste in my IDE. So I just run this program. So now you can see, so for this structure it is occupying only 8 bytes. So in general it is going to occupy 12 bytes, because for a 64-bit processor, because my laptop is a 64-bit processor, so which an integer can take 4 bytes. So I have 3 integers, it can take 3 into 4, 12 bytes. So now you can see here, when I'm given 11, it will show me -5 instead of 11, because the most significant bit for representing 11, it will take the MSB bit as 1. So that indicates that negative means the sign bit representation. So or else you can give unsigned integer here. So I'll try with that. So here we can provide it like unsigned int, and here also I provided unsigned int, because it doesn't treat like a signed value. So I'll go and execute this. So now we are finding C, because I'm given these integers are unsigned, it doesn't take the MSB bit as a negative. Means it doesn't take the MSB bit as signed bit, right? So here you can observe that the date, month and year is going to display here. So this is a bit field concept. So by this concept, the structure concept is completed. So I hope you all can understand. If anyone is having any doubts, you just ping me in chat box, so that definitely I'm going to clear your doubts. Thank you so much. So please like, share and subscribe my channel. If really you are thinking this video is useful to you, you can share with your friends. Thank you.